Hello YouTube! We are on the Real Programming channel. It is about HTML and CSS. My name is Andrei. This is our 40th lesson. I greet you. We will talk about what if we move the font up the family tree. Let's go. If most elements inherit the font family property, what if we move it up to the body element? That should have the effect of changing the font for all the body element children and children's children. We are going to move the font family property from the paragraphs and the headings to the body. Remember, images don't have text. Now all these elements are going to be to inherit the font family, and so are their children. Whoa, this is powerful. Simply by changing the font family property in the body rule, we could change the font for an entire site. What are you waiting for? Give it a try. Open your long CSS file and add a new rule that selects the body element. Then remove the font family properties from the headings and paragraph rules because you are not going to need them anymore. Here's what you're going to do. First, add a new rule that selects the body element. Add the font family property with a value of sans serif. This is our code. Then take the font family property out of the h1 and h2 rule as well as p rule. This. It's true. Test drive your new CSS. As usual, go ahead and make these changes in the long CSS style sheet. Save and reload the long HTML page. You shouldn't expect any changes because the style is the same. It's just coming from a different rule. But you should feel better about your CSS because now you can add new elements to your pages and they'll automatically inherit the sans serif font. Surprise, surprise, this doesn't look any different at all, but that is exactly what we were expecting, isn't it? All you've done is move the sans serif font up into the body rule and let all the other elements inherit that. Okay, so now that the whole site is set to sans serif with the body selector, what if I want one element to be a different font? Do I have to take the font family out of the body and add rules for every element separately again? Overriding inheritance. By moving the font family property up into the body, you set that font style for the entire page. But what if you don't want the sans serif font on over every element? For instance, you could decide that you want the M elements to use the serif font instead. The font family property is set in the body rule, so every element inside the body inherits the sans serif font family property from body. But you've decided you want your M elements to have the serif font family instead. You need to override the inheritance with the CSS rule. Well, then you can override the inheritance by supplying a specific rule just for M. Here is how you add a rule for a M to override the font family specified in the body. To override the font family property inherited from body, add a new rule selecting M with the font family property value set to serif. Test drive. Add a rule from the M element to your CSS with the font family property value of serif and reload your long HTML page. Notice that the Dance Revolution text, which is the text in the M element, is now a serif font. As in general rule, it's not a good idea to change font in the middle of paragraph like this, so go ahead and change your CSS back to the way it was without the M rule when you're done testing. There are no dumb questions. How does the browser know which rule to apply to M when I'm overriding the inherited value? With CSS, the mode specific rule is always used. So if you have a rule for body and a more specific rule for EM elements is going to use the more specific rule. We'll talk more later about how you know which rules are more specific. How do I know which CSS properties are inherited and which are not? This is where a good reference really comes in handy, like Aurelius CSS Pocket reference in general. All of the styles that affect the way your text looks, such as font color as a color property, the font family as you just seen, and other font related properties such as font size, font weight for bold text, and font style for italics are inherited. Other properties such as border are not inherited, which makes sense, right? Just because you want a border on your body element doesn't mean you want it on all your elements. A lot of the time you can follow your common sense or just try it and see, and you'll get the hang of it as you become more familiar with the various properties and what they do. Can I always override a property that is being inherited when I don't want it? Yes, you can always use a more specific selector to override a property from a parent. So this stuff gets completed. Is there a way I can add comments to remind myself what the rules do? Yes, to write a comment in your CSS, just enclose in between slash and slash star. For instance, slash star. This rule selects all paragraphs and colors them blue, star, slash. Notice that a comment can span multiple lines. You can also put comments around CSS and browser will ignore it, like this. Slash star. This rule will have no effect because it's in a comment. Make sure you close your comments correctly, otherwise your CSS won't work. I was thinking it would be cool to have the text below each elixir match the color of the elixir. Can you do that? We're not sure we agree with the aesthetics of that suggestion, but hey, you're the customer. Can you style each of these paragraphs separately so that the color of the text matches the drink? The problem is that using a rule with p selector applies the style to all p elements. So how can you select these paragraphs individually? That's where classes come in. Using both HTML and CSS, we can define a class of elements and then apply styles to any elements that belongs to that class. So what exactly is a class? Think of it like a club. Someone starts a green tea club, and by joining you agree to all the rights and responsibilities of the club, like adhering to their style standards. Anyway, let's just create the class and you'll see how it works. Creating a class takes two steps. First, we add the elements to the class by adding a class attribute to the element in the HTML. Second, we select this class in the CSS. Let's step through that. Green text, blue text, purple text, red text. Oh, we don't need to change this one. Adding an element to the green tier class. We'll talk about this in the next lesson. And this is our 40th lesson over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, please. Like, share with friend, comment, eat bananas, chocolate and nuts, drink more water for the effective work of our brains. Bye.